In this video cast, I will show you how to use the CountIF and SumIf functions. In this example, in the functions applications that you can download in your module, you see a range of dates. So if I want to count all the occurrences of only one date in this range, 2/23/2017, I will use the CountIF function. Basically, it will count the cell only if it sees that the content of the cell equals to 2/23/2017. So let's type in B20 =, then CountIF, and it finds the function, counts the number of cells within a range that meet the given condition. And now we're going to open the parentheses and type in our first argument, the range. So obviously the range in this case is going to be from B2 to B19. Now I'm going to put a comma to separate the arguments, and the second argument is criteria. And obviously our criteria is this date, 2/23/2017. I'm going to open quotation mark, type in 2/23/2017, close quotation mark, press enter, and that gives me 6 occurrences of this date in this range. So if we want to count all the dates that are greater than or equal to 2/23/2017, again, I'm going to use the CountIF function. So I'm going to type in equals in cell B21, CountIF, open parentheses. The first argument is the range, and that's again going to be B2 to B19, comma. The second argument is going to be criteria. In this case, the criteria should be greater or equal to 2/23/2017. So I'll open quotation mark, type in greater or equal, and then the date, 2/23/2017, close quotation, press enter. Now the reason this function uses quotation marks is because it's basically not dealing just with numeric data, but also with alphanumeric data. And in programming, we very often put text strings and alphanumeric data in the quotation marks. Okay, so let's move to real estate, and let me increase the scale, okay, this way. So in this case, we're looking at the houses sold by real estate agents. And in column B, you can see all the houses values. And in column C, the commissions that real estate agents got for selling those houses. Now, if I want to look at the houses that were sold only for certain price, and I want to add all the houses that are sold only for certain price, then I'm going to use a SumIf function. So basically the total amount of sales of the houses, for example, over 400,000 will look as, I will add all the values like 500, 600, 7, then I'll skip this, then I'll go to 450, 550, and so on. To add all this based on certain criteria, we use the function SumIf. So I'm going to type in SumIf, open parentheses. The first argument is the range, where we're going to look for the houses that were sold for over 400,000. Obviously, it's in column B. The range is from B3 to B17. Let's put comma to separate the arguments. In the second criteria, the second argument is the criteria, And the criteria should be over 400,000, which means we're going to open quotation mark, type in greater or over, and 400,000, close quotation mark, press enter. So again, what we have here is basically SumIf function with the first argument of showing the range B3 to B17, and the second argument just stating that we're looking for values that are greater than 400,000 or over 400,000. All right, so now I want to see the total commission for the houses that got sold for over 400,000. So obviously the values of the houses are in here in column B, and that's where we're going to enter the criterion greater than 400,000, and the commission is shown in column C. So that's what we want to add together to get the commission for those houses. So again, I'm going to use SumIf function. The first argument is the range. Again, we're looking for the houses that are sold for over 400,000. The range where we can find those values are in column B. So the range is over here, B3 to B17. Now the criteria is the same as in the previous example. Let's open quotation mark, type in greater than 400,000. Close quotation mark, put in comma to separate it from the third argument. And the third argument is the sum range. And that's actually the data located in column C. That's what we want to add together. And so I'm just going to select the range. And that's going to be my third argument. Now, please note what it means. So Excel will go through the values in the first range and find all the values that are greater than 400,000. Once it locates this type of value, for example, in B7, it'll look at the corresponding value in the sum range argument, so it's going to be in this column C, and it'll start adding together only the values in column C that correspond to the values in column B that are greater than 400,000. So it'll skip this value, but it'll add 30,000, it'll add 36,000, it'll add 42,000, then it'll skip this value because it's not greater than 400,000, so it'll skip this corresponding value in the C range, and it'll go like this forward. So our result, our output is shown in cell C20, and that's the formula in the formula bar that you can see. So first we indicate the range, then the criterion, and then the sum range. And this is actually where the numbers are going to be added. All right, so let's move to Minimart tab. And I'm going to increase the size so you can see it better. So in here, we're going to figure out the total sales for fruits. So the first thing we need to decide the total sales. That's probably that means that we're going to do the sum function because we're adding together the sales numbers. Now, where do we look for the word fruits? Obviously, it's in this category column. So in column A. So let's start typing. It's going to be SumIf, open parentheses. The range is all the categories. So it's A3 to A11. That's our first argument. Let's separate it with a comma. The second argument is criteria, and what we're really looking for is the word fruits. So I'm going to open quotation mark, type fruits, close quotations, and put in comma. And now I'm going to input the third argument. And the third argument, I want to add all the amounts of the sales, but only those that correspond to fruits. So this one in row 5, this one in row 8, and this one in row 10. So these three values I want to add together. So that's our third argument range, sum range. I'm just going to identify it and press enter. Now we have to calculate the total sales for food that ends in ES ending. So the food items that we're going to look at that have ending ES are located in item column. And obviously the amounts of sales are indicated in column C. So let's type in equal SumIf, open quotation, the range, that's where we're going to look for those items with ending ES, are in column B. So it's B3 to B11. Let's put in comma. The criteria, obviously, it's everything which ends with ES. So as usual, we're going to open quotation marks, type ES, close quotation mark, and then of course we need to figure out that that's not going to work because there's nothing under items that just says ES. What we actually want to find is something which ends with ES, and we don't care what this is. It could be one letter, it could be 3 letters, it could be entire word, as long as at the end it has the ES. In programming and in Excel, you can use an asterisk, a wildcard sign, to indicate anything that we don't care about. So I'm just going to put an asterisk, okay? And so asterisk means anything, and then ES, so if you put it together, that it will be, we don't care what, as long as it ends with ES, okay? And now we're going to add the third argument, and this is sum range. That's the sales amounts that we're going to add if they correspond to anything which ends with ES, and press enter, and this is the amount. Now if we look at the items, we notice that sweet peas are spelled incorrectly. So let's watch what happens if I correct this spelling. So I have to put in A instead of E, press enter, and this immediately updates the total sales for the foods which end with ES, because now sweet peas are not included. So similarly, if I want to find, for example, total sales for items that contain T somewhere in the word, I'm going to do similar stuff. So let me just type it in here. Has T somewhere. So I'm going to use SumIf, then indicate the range, indicate the criteria, and now because I'm just saying I want to count everything that has T somewhere, I'm going to use an asterisk before the T, then T, an asterisk after T, and close quotation marks. So again, if we look at it, it says basically the following. I don't care what is before T, I don't care what's after T, as long as it has T somewhere in the word. Then I'm going to add the sum range argument and press enter. And this will show the total sales for items that has items that have T somewhere in the word. So that concludes this project. And just a reminder that when you count just some items, you use count. When you add items, you use sum. If you count only items that correspond to certain criteria, you use CountIF. If you want to add items, or you calculate total amounts or total sales of the items that correspond to certain criteria, you use SumIf.